Hello, hello. I hope everyone's having a good day. Hi, Fishy. Hi, Cal. How you doing? Let me really quickly fix my video over on YouTube because it's never accurate. There we go. Better. Okay, sorry, I am looking up reference images for this because I have a very specific lighting thing that I want to do. But, hello. Damn you! Why? I gotta go grab some screenshots before I start. So let me just grab this. Okay, sorry, I'm looking through this music video because I want to make sure that the lighting that I choose is correct for each character here. But I'm very, very stoked. Oh, I guess that is it. That was what I was looking for. Sure, that's fine. Okay, so that's actually the only reference that I'm gonna need. Plot twist. Hi, Rhyme. Posture check. Everybody sit up nice and straight. Also, to hydrate. Today, I am drinking a decaf iced latte with mocha and caramel syrup and salted caramel cold foam because I can't be stopped. What song am I listening to? I am currently listening to the K-Pop Demon Hunters soundtrack over on Twitch, so I'm listening to How It's Done by Huntrix. Oh, also, everybody stretch, sit up straight. We got a full self-care combo. All right. Also, welcome in, James. Good to see you today. It's fucking exceptional. I know, like, there are some people who, like, vehemently hate it for whatever reason, and I'm not really sure, like, so far no one has given me a good enough argument, both from, like, a, what am I hearing then? I'm not sure, because it shouldn't be playing, music shouldn't be playing through to YouTube. If it is, please let me know. Yeah, because definitely, if there's music, that's not on my end. But yeah, the movies is quite good. Oh, that's not great. There's a second audio, but it's like distorted. That's so weird. Yeah, because it shouldn't be. That's so bizarre. Let me see what it's doing. Track 3. Okay, what happens if I do that? Because now there shouldn't be no music on Twitch as well. Not necessarily. Because there hasn't been music on YouTube before this point, right? Is that correct? For those of you who have been on my YouTube streams before. Hold on, I gotta go mess around with some stuff. I'm gonna need your guys' feedback on it because mostly I have no idea what's going on. Yeah, because I turned music back on Twitch. So that's the thing, is that what I need from you guys is from, like, Cal, for example, for the last times that you've been listening to, yeah, to music, that it hasn't gone through. Interesting. Yeah, and I can, like, restart, but there should be... Let me double check on my end here. Give me just 1 second. This is a very bizarre issue because it's like the music is going through a specific track and YouTube should not be picking it up. Sorry, 1 second. You know what you're probably hearing is the sound of the music coming through my headphones. Yeah, the mic is picking up my music on my headphones. Let me know if you can hear it now. On the YouTube side. Yeah, because most likely the gain on my mic is turned up quite high because otherwise people were saying that they couldn't hear me, but it may be because that it's coming out of my headphones. I don't know if you guys can still hear it now. Because it definitely should be full volume over on Twitch, but on YouTube there should be none. But it could be, yeah, it's coming through my headset. Because otherwise I can't listen to the music and then I'm sad. Yeah, so settings are all right. I don't need to restart stream. I think it's just a matter of my mic gain being turned up too high. This is just like a black crop top. It's really faint still. That's so bizarre. What happens if I do that? That's so bizarre. Yeah, because there should be no reason that this is coming through. Y'all just gotta keep me in the know and let me know if you can still hear it. Because I'm probably not going to restart stream just because I'm fucking lazy. And I'm not monetized on YouTube, to be quite honest. So it does not matter to me if, like, if this gets, like, copyright striked, which I don't think that it will. I highly doubt that it will. I don't have any desktop audio going through to OBS. It's louder now? How is that possible? Oh my god, these Genu Sajas over here in Twitch. Hi Genu. Do a flip. I can't do a flip. Jeez, if I had the ability to do that, I would be in a much better place. Yeah, I don't have any tabs open. The only thing that's playing is Spotify, and it shouldn't be going through. So I'm assuming this is an OBS error over on the YouTube end. I'm not going to worry about it. If only I could do a backflip. If only. I could do backflips on a trampoline. Also, everybody stretch. Make sure that you're, like, stretching your wrists if you're doing art, working on that kind of stuff. All of that stuff. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Sit up nice and straight in your chair. All that good shit. Okay. I'm trying to figure out what kind of pose I want to do for this. It's not being played through a radio. So, again, to explain, I have my headphones plugged into a speaker, and there is like a very faint amount of music coming from the speaker, the headphones, but there's no reason that it should be like being picked up on the mic because it's not that loud. It would be insane if at this point it got picked up on the mic in that way. Okay, let me see. What am I doing for my pose here? I mean, I think the character designs for everybody in this film is very cute. I would recommend looking up the film and just looking up whether it's like the Saja boys or the Huntress girls in the film just to get a good idea of the character designs. But no, there are no cat girls in this film. It is based in Korean folklore and mythology, but everybody is a human. Sort of. I will not elaborate on that. For spoiler purposes only. Okay, sorry. Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do for anatomy here. The answer is not coming to me. I was slightly prepared for this, but not that prepared. Mm. I need something that I can light half of her face with. I'm looking at all the reference shit that I have. Oh, this is a good one. Okay. This is fine. This is fine. Okay, let me fix my camera. But yeah, it's an exceptional film. Sony really outdid themselves, I think, personally. Okay. So what's the situation over on YouTube? Can we still hear music over there? What's the vibe? Maybe the lesson here is that Huntrix is actually too powerful, and the reality is that no matter what, however much we want to not have it play to certain platforms, clearly Huntrix's power is too strong, and they can't be stopped. Yeah, we'll just have to keep an eye on it and see how it is next time. Yeah, it should not be doing this. Let me figure out what's going on. It's so faint, too. It is next time. Let me see if this does anything. Hold on. I'm just curious. Yeah, it should not be doing this. Let me just It is my mic. It is indeed my microphone. So, let me turn the gain down. So we're going to turn that way the fuck down. Okay, so reasonably, can y'all still hear me okay via the mic, even though the gain is lower? Yes? ¿Está bien? That was an interesting time. Cool, fantastic. Want to do a portrait here, but I don't want to do anything super crazy. Let me just rough in my gesture here, and then there is some stuff that I want to fix about this. Now, the question is can you still hear the musique over on the tube? That's the question. Or did turning the gain down fix that problem? I feel like, too, unfortunately, this mic is, like, low-key broken because one time Fat Alice, like, grabbed the entire mic and punched it off. Yeah, so the gain was just too high. It was picking up, effectively hearing my music through my headphones, which is not great, but it is what it is. So as long as y'all can hear me with the lower gain, we're good to go. Let's see. I might move some of this stuff around because I like some of this, but some of it not so much. And I recognize actually the outfit itself for this fan art is going to be super simple because in the music video she's only in a black tank top. Okay, so there's certain things that I definitely want to do here. Let me refine this a little bit. This is a good place to start, but there's like certain things that I think would make this more interesting. So in other words, again, my logic there still stands. KPop Demon Hunters was too powerful. Huntrix was too powerful. And that's just the way that it goes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure as long as I'm not, like, listening to it at 100% volume, they're not going to copyright strike me for it. I just don't have any care. That's what I thought. Hold on. I don't have any butts to give. There we go. Lord. I'm not warmed up yet today, but that's okay. Because I want to hit her face with half of this light. And then that's how this is going to go for gesture. Cool. Thanks for working with me through that, y'all. That was very, very helpful. Because oftentimes I don't know what you all hear, you know. So I really appreciate that a lot. I might, for the sake of stylization, oh my lord. Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing for this background element. I think I'm thinking about this too hard. Because what even is this background element? Random shapes? Because I love that. I would want to do something like that in the background. That's really pretty. However, it doesn't really help me with whatever this thing is. Yeah, sure. I recognize that Rumi is, she very skinty. I might stylize this a little bit more to bring it in just a touch. And then same with probably this too. She's fine. She's fine. Okay, so let me see here. So now's where I needed that neck, actually. So I might actually have that cut like this. And then that goes like that. I know that this looks really silly for right now, but actually I'm going to bring this back out just a touch. Yeah. Yeah. All right, so now, next step. I really need good concept art, amigo. Oh god, that image is super low res. Good god. I like never do fan art for anything. Who am I? But that just goes to show, I think, how incredibly well designed these characters are, because I actually care about wanting to draw them. Hi, Gamby. How you doing? Okay, glass. I think I need to do another layer here, but I think what I'm going to do with her braid, I might actually have to shrink her down just a little bit. Hold on. Because I think I'm going to take this and go like this and then over like that. So it'll go around this way, like that from the back. Oh, I finally got my new passport. So now, effectively, the U.S. government is going to have to pry it from my cold, dead hands. Okay, so now what do I want to do here? The stylization for this hair is wild, but I do like it. Braids are weird. We as humans made some weird shit. I wish Jace was home. I've been feeling really lonely lately. I don't know if anybody else ever feels like that, where you're just like randomly or like just like lonely, you know? Even though you like just talked to a person. Alright, so now I'm going to make this a new layer here because this is going to be really dumb. And actually I'm going to cheat and use this thing first. This is going to help me form structure here, but I'm going to not use this as my final brush. Not size jitter. And this will get smaller as it goes. Like that. Well, and the thing is actually I might make this larger. That. Okay, cool. So that's going to be my, effectively my guidepost here. For this. Oh, yeah, that makes sense during summer. Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. It is what it is. But yeah, it's a weird feeling. It's like, it's weird because you're around a bunch of people, but then it's like, oh, I still feel lonely. Part of it is I just do not want to work. Today is my Friday, though, so, like, that's really what gets me hard, I think, is that I'm like, I just don't want to work because it's Friday. Okay, so now let me see if this is comically large. Well, no, not really, actually. But I do think I need to actually move the whole thing. Is this the braid? I'm a fool. I should have done this on another layer. I might move this whole thing down, actually. Because the perspective is not quite right here. This is a lot of geometry, truly. Hello? I'm just going to separate this out. So now I can go... I'm going to line this back up where it was, and then... Hello? Hello? grab this, and then this is going to go down like that. Yeah. And then I'm going to keep working on this layer instead. And I'm not going to worry too much about, let me move this down now too. I'm not going to worry too much about the head yet. I just like hate drawing braids so much. This song from this film has such a vibe. I don't know if it's a good vibe or a bad vibe, it's just a vibe. Okay, well, this braid is definitely braiding. It's doing it. Oh. Maybe one day I'll master the art of the braid, but that day is not today. Normally I draw this in a completely different fashion, but to be honest, this lady's braid is so intense and geometric that I feel like I can't. I have to like draw this a very specific way to make sure that the structure makes it across. And so I just have to kind of suffer. Like I just, it becomes weird bumps. Okay, I think I'm gonna just draw this out because you never know. Even though we're like at the end of this segment here, I'll cut it behind. All right. This is probably gonna get erased, but I'd rather have it structurally than watch it die in a fire and then need it later and not have it. I just have to remember which braid pieces are the ones in the front, and it's the right side. Even though it doesn't look like it on my brush base. Why? Okay, we're gonna listen to this K-pop mix by Spotify. We're gonna see how it goes. It's kind of funny because I was drawing a braid the other day. Well, there you go. We're all stuck in braid land. That's the secret. Can't believe y'all were letting me get away with my gain being that high and hearing me breathe. Why would you do this? Just kidding. I don't blame y'all. Okay, so there's a braid. Good God. Alright, so then there goes that. And then I'm going to actually turn that chunk off for right now. Hello? Hello? I'm really excited to do this lighting, actually. That's mostly what I'm excited about. This is mostly an excuse for me to do a lighting study, to be honest. It just happens to have Roomy in it. Cal, did y'all end up watching this movie? On your stream? I have my YouTube audio boosted. I see, I see. Oh, we watched it in the Discord. That's dope. That's a good time. Want to watch it again. I want to watch their, like, storyboard. I really need to, like, do a storyboard study and break it down that way. Watching this monstrosity, because that's where this particular film, in my opinion anyway, shines like crazy. It's really good. Okay, I'm double checking my anatomy here. Oh, to have the money to dye your hair this level of purple and not have the maintenance be insane. Like, can you imagine? Because I can't. I might make this a touch smaller. Because I'm looking at my reference and I don't know if I want to stylize this like 100% to the like movie accurate. I might make it not that. I really want to capture a very specific expression here. How did I... get here? You know, this is the question that I ask myself often is, how did I get here? And actually, I don't listen to K-pop like ever, truly. Like, I recognize them. I'm like, I know you, but I've never seen you before in my life. Okay, so the question is because her face is mostly forward, can I get away with copy pasting this, or is this going to be really bad? Oh, actually, this could have been a lot worse. She still looks low-key silly, but we're gonna make it work. It's because of this eyeball. Everything's chill. We're fine. She's fine. Actually, flip this back now. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the sketch because it's like actually high-key distracting. And then, most importantly, she needs a new eyebrow. Faces from the front. The purple hair was natural. It was purple as a kid. Look, I don't know how early they started their K-pop careers, okay? I don't know. I use temporary dyes in showers or long when the dye is bleeding out, but I think hers is natural. Well, I guess some people are just built different. Rumi's built different. That would make sense, though, given her disposition. I'm going to say disposition. Spoiler-free environment. Oh, no, I do remember the flashback scene. It was just, I think, my major gripe with the film, and this is not necessarily a heavy critique on it at all, there was a lot of rushing through, like, especially Rumi's backstory. And there was, again, they were, the context is that they were trained to be demon hunters from a very young age, but a major part of the lore for this movie is that they're trained to be singers and performers from a very young age in order to be able to keep up the magic barrier, right? And some K-pop singers, as children, get started as children, just like pop stars do here in the United States. Like I think about Disney Channel Original Kids, for example. So for all I know, they could have Hannah Montana'd the shit out of Rumi, and but there was like not enough context for it. In that sense. Yeah, I don't think that the movie should have been longer, personally. I can see, I've heard that both from the director herself and then also too from other fans have said that, you know, it was supposed to be like a 3-hour movie. I think that would have been awful for pacing. I really don't think that would have been good. It doesn't need to be wicked. But I think that they could have made some creative decisions to help clarify some things about backstory. And it would have been like very minor dialogue shifts, looking at specific lines and making sure that context is clearer. But that's like a very like minor gripe that I have, truly. Like it's not anything that is like so like detrimental that it would be like, oh, this is like clearly this broke the whole movie. But I just need to know. I'm like, was Rumi Hannah Montana? That's the question that I have. I'm like, girl, what are your secrets? Were you forced to do child labor for Disney? Currently, the youngest K-pop idol is a 13-year-old, for context. So, that's what I'm saying. That's why I have questions. Is I want to know. It just would have been a nice, fun... Why would you do this? It would have just been a nice, fun factoid there. Because if that logic flies, then I'm like, is Mira's hair also natural? Because she's got heckin' long hair too. Or are they just wearing wigs? Because that's also valid. Me too. I'm like, I'm not doing that. That sounds like so much effort. I got logistics questions. But this is the kind of shit I think about when I do visual development work, where I'm like, okay, like, how did the character get to this point? Like, what is their daily routine? How does that look? You know, like, those kinds of things. But I recognize I'm also a freak of nature. Ah, yes, there's also a Vocaloid bass from a 9-year-old. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, I think about that a lot. Yeah, so it wouldn't surprise me. Point being is, like, while it definitely could be natural for Rumi, I don't think that that's out of the question for sure. It would also not surprise me if she was on stage at, like, 12, 13 years old, and then they were dyeing her hair at, like, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. And she's had this, like, identity for a long time. Okay, so there's some shit about this that I don't like, and I'm gonna have to fix it, and part of it is this jaw. And I knew that it was gonna mess with me. And it's also, part of it was that nose too. Let me keep fucking with it. Part of this is that my brain is soup from working the whole week. And then I had to get up and go stand in the passport office, and that was just annoying. So annoying. The passport people. They were fine. The passport people are nice. The whole process, though, annoying as heck. I am still peeved that I had to pay the government $120 to fix their mistake. Oh, speaking of that, actually, I need to cancel a thing. Give me just a second, actually, before I fucking forget, because... Okay, cool. I had to cancel my trip to Canada that I didn't actually need. All I needed was it for it to exist so that I could get my damn passport. Fuck me, I feel like I can't draw for shit today, apparently. Yes, the trip to Vancouver that I was very excited to go on. Super excited. Actually, I am low-key legit a little sad that I can't just go to Vancouver. So, a little disappointed, genuinely, and actually... Okay, there's something... So I recognize I tilted the head. Hold on, I'm going to look back at this. I see. So first we have a little bit of a perspective issue here. This way. Don't want this. Hydrate! I've just been drinking my coffee. Okay, so let me flip it again. I need almost arguable. Nope. I am drawing Rumi. I really enjoyed this movie a hell of a lot, actually. She's beautiful. I think out of all of them, I truly enjoy, like, the personality of Mira the most. I think she's funny as fuck, but Rumi's beautiful. All their character designs are great. It has been decided that I myself identify the most with Mystery Saja, though, if I'm being real. Mostly because nobody has any idea what he's there for. He just fucking exists. Yeah, Mira's funny. Mira's funny as hell. I just like how dry she is. She doesn't give a shit about anyone or anything, and I'm like, you know, internally I understand and recognize. Okay, so I know that this looks intense. Just give me time to cook. Give me time to cook. Okay, that's better. Oh, that's true. He did. Yeah, right. And that rabbit energy, that's what I'm saying. It's, again, who let you in here? You know what I'm saying? He does kind of have, like, trash goblin energy. And I deeply respect that. You can tell that he's just there. He's there because they needed another guy. Ugh, okay, I'm gonna ignore that for a second. And come back to it. Stupid. This angle is my literal bane of existence. Where constantly I am struggling with, it's the under the chin perspective. That's literally the worst. It's this tilted head slightly up issue that I've had my entire life. This Afrobeats undertone for this K-pop is weird. I'm definitely remembering why I don't typically listen to pop, regardless of where it comes from. I'm learning this. I'm learning this in my head. I'm remembering. Does Rumi have earrings? Girl, are you accessorizing or... Yes. I was gonna say, if you don't have earrings, I'm confused. Oh, she has the world's most complicated fucking earring of all time. Oh, I guess for Golden she was wearing just like little spirals and some ear cuffs. What is she wearing in here? Oh god, this is gonna be awful. Does she have any accessories on here? She doesn't, but I think for the sake of, like, having cool stuff going on her costume, I think I'm going to put the earrings that she had in the Golden music video on her body, because it makes sense to me. It'll just be cute. Let me bring this up a little bit. Hello? Alright, so this is where this earring becomes the most obnoxious earring of all time. I'm pretty sure that these guys that made this film went rogue with these accessories. Hold on. Because, like, what kind of earring shape is this? What in the hell? It's like a screw. They're like, you know what she would look good in? A screw. Let's get her a screw. Getting her a screw. She's gonna look real fancy. Get us some fancy ear cuffs and a screw. Yeah, it's just appropriate, I feel like. She just needed some fancy. Okay. This is going to be an unnecessarily complicated illustration, but that's fine. Alright, and also, too, actually, I'm recognizing... Well... Nah, Mira's got kind of a circle face. Or not Mira, Rumi has kind of a circle face. Let me move this down just a little bit. Just a touch. Yeah, because that's... There we go. That was the fucking problem, is that... I needed better likeness. And I don't need her to be cross-eyed, so this is where this gets difficult. There we go. There we go. And then I still feel like... heavier lid. Yeah. Let me flip this again. There's still some anatomy problems here. We're getting there. It's just, this is a game of perpetual tweaking. This is why digital, in my mind, is a better medium for flexibility, because you can just effectively infinitely tweak until it looks okay, and then you don't have to suffer. You just kind of keep going until things look not garbage. This is effectively almost hardstyle. Blackpink, what are you doing? Girls, what are y'all doing? They were like, hold on, we're going to the club. Oh my god, TVXQ. I'm fine. Hey. This is maybe the sexiest music video of all time. If y'all have never seen TVXQ's Chance of Love music video, please go and watch it immediately, because holy shit. I'm actually not a fan. Hold on. Let's look at our reference here. Oh yeah, I had the right idea, but... Oh, I have not the right idea. Did you know that this band is considered, this K-pop group is considered the most influential K-pop group that has ever existed? I would not, maybe not argue modern K-pop, but like according to their own stats anyway, they like to claim that they themselves are responsible for influencing K-pop globally, and I would kind of argue that they're not wrong. They started making music in 2003, and apparently in Korea they are called the Legend of K-pop. They were the first Korean group to tour all 5 of Japan's like major dome arenas and stuff, which is insanity to me. Like, let me make sure my anatomy's okay here. Yeah. So they have some insane rep under their belt. I don't think that they achieved as much global success as like a group like Blackpink did. But they still did good. So I'm like, good for them. Our boys did it. The boys are back in town. Oh, yeah, yeah. Ooh. They really did, though. Yeah, these guys definitely did. And they also somehow survived, which is insane to me. Like, they used to have, like, a lot of members in their group. I can't remember how many members they started with originally. I think it was, like, 7. It was quite a lot. And then as other guys got conscripted into their required military service, but then also, like, there was, like, some inter-group drama or, like, issues with contracts and all of those kinds of things, they, like, slowly whittled themselves down to literally 2 members. And then instead of collapsing under the weight of the, like, industry and then also only having 2 members, they were like, hold our beer. And they did it. Clearly, they figured it out. Hold on, I gotta, you know what? It's not letting me undo for whatever fucking reason because Photoshop is photoshopping. But yeah, they didn't die. I really would have expected them to, like, collapse. But they didn't. They just kept making music, and then now they're still, as, like, veterans, still making insane amounts of music. Okay, so this is tricky because part of me wants to include line art so that I don't just swallow. Well, I don't know. I'm going to have to see how it looks if I swallow her in a black shape. I'm going to still draw out the line art, and if I need to, I can go in and shade the line art, but or color the line art to give it some feeling. But I don't need to if I don't have to. Because if I can pull this off without it, then I'm going to try. I love turtlenecks, though. Rumi truly is also turtleneck queen. She's great. She's so pretty. She knows what's up. Turtlenecks are great. And you know what? Her neck's never going to be cold. And that's really what matters. Fuck the marks. It's about a chilly neck. I want to know what her friends, like, I'm sure her friends were like at some point just like, Rumi, wear a low-cut top. And she was like, no! I only wear turtlenecks. And they were like, okay. That's nice, girl. They were like, just leave her alone. She's doing her best. She doesn't know. It's not her fault. She's just a girl who likes to keep her neck warm. Yeah, it's true. She's just got a good neck for turtlenecks. They were like, everybody's got our thing. We each have our own things, and Rumi's is turtlenecks. If it was me, I would have been like, I got psoriasis. Like, I don't know. Like, literally anything. Oh, did I move this? Or no, I just straight fucked up my anatomy. Hold on. We're gonna just... I'm not a huge fan of the thickness of these fingers, so this is just going to be for blocking purposes, and then I have to stylize them because everything else is like really lovely stylized. So I'm actually going to minimize this and then minimize opacity here and then go in with something that I can use to stylize a little bit better. Joke's on you, I'm too poor for children. Hi, Ava. I'm poor as fuck. I am uber tired, but I could be worse. A little peeved because I got rejected. Oh, I don't like that either. Peeved because I got rejected from a job, but that seems to be the trend lately. The transparent joke went over my head, to be honest. Also, everybody should stretch, though. Ooh, I was kind of shrimping. Thank you, Cal. I was, like, literally curled over my tablet. That was probably for the best. You have to remember, Ava, I'm fucking 4,000 years old. There's something going on. I'm just going to be double, triple, quadruple checking my anatomy here. Hello? Oh, yep, there you go. Yeah, see, this is probably proof. I score a little bit on the Radstar test for autism. I've never been diagnosed with autism, but I take shit super literally. So unless literally, like, wordplay and me are not friends. Because I just read things at point value, or at, like, face value. You know, there's a lot about this that I think I'm just going to tilt the fingers down. Yeah, sometimes it goes, sometimes it doesn't. Really depends on my brain and how I'm feeling, and also, too, how, like, tired I am. And today happens to be one of those days where I am... Wow, I fucking hate this hand. Hold on, I need to do something else with this hand because I just fucking hate it in general. I just do not like the positioning of this thing in general, overall. Let me fix it. I actually like what I did with it more. I just need to trust my own instincts, to be honest. Yeah, today I'm tired as fuck. I had to get up and stand at the fucking passport office to get my passport fixed so that, I can actually have the right gender marker on my passport, which is fantastic. I'm glad that it got sorted out, but, like, damn. It was a lot. It was a lot of unnecessary work. And then I did the same thing yesterday, so I got up, like, early 2 days in a row. My brain is not functioning. And then today is my Friday, so I am also low-key just exhausted from the week. My processing power isn't always necessarily at 100. Okay, I don't hate this. Oh, Cal, did I tell you that fucking Tatsu yelled at his, yelled straight up at his, a little comfy nest that he was making on the couch? He, like, got on a pillow and he was, like, making biscuits into a blanket, trying to, like, scooch it around and, like, get it into the right position. And it just wouldn't do it, so he literally just yelled at it. We just heard the cat cuss at the blanket, and we were like, what is happening? I don't really like this either. Hold on. And I acknowledge that this is right. I'm going to need to flip this to make sure that I am in the right spot. But yeah, I would say the overall vibe today, tired as fuck. But yeah, he was so angry though. He was very angry. And it was just one cuss. He was just like, meh! Just yelled at it. And I wish that I could have caffeine. Oh god, I pay so much money. Do you also have the extra flexibility thing? Yes, I am. They call that, God, it's not... It's associated with EDS. Hold on. Hypermobility. That's the word that I'm looking for. Yes, I'm hypermobile in my knees, my elbows, and all of my fingers. Not like a super extreme, but yes, I do have that trait. That's actually, like, such a weird correlation, but it's always, like, it's so true. That's such a weird thing to think about, but it's like, yes. Yeah, I score on the Radstar, I score at like a 90, I think. Let me look at the test thing. Radstar... Because it's on a score of 0 to 240. Let me see. Yeah, a score of 90 or higher, because I was at like maybe like 100 something, like low 100s or high 90s. It suggests a strong likelihood of ASD, but neurotypicals can also score high. So it really is like, it's hard to tell. I've never been officially diagnosed, but I have been diagnosed with ADHD, so at least in a clinical office setting, anyway. 'Tis not on my paperwork, because the way that the diagnoses criteria works in the United States are stupid for that shit. It's a weird thing to think about. But getting diagnosed as an adult is fucking impossible. It's like so hard. All I know is I'm weird as fuck, and like I just don't see how I could not be slightly neurodivergent. Like, there's no way in hell. The ADHD for sure is apparent, but like, yep, yeah, no, it's crazy. They're finding now that the correlation between like, or the number of ADHD people is like way higher than they thought. So that's kind of interesting. What I think is funny about the whole thing is that it's just like, people are like, yeah, the neurodivergency is like not common. And it's like, I don't know about that, my guy. It seems like, actually, I'm going to make this hand just a little bit larger. It's like, it seems like it's more common than we thought, and y'all are just being weird about it. Oh, more TVXQ in this playlist. Crazy. Energy. I love these guys. Okay, so now I'm gonna actually bring this down more because I brought the hair down. I'm gonna bring this down more. Yeah. Let me go clean this out of here. Yeah. I don't know. It is a time. Okay. Yeah, I think probably regardless, I'm like pretty low spectrum, like no matter what. Just all in all. Because I don't like when I took the stupid ADHD test, I like quote failed it, and they like tried to say, at least in office, that I don't have ADHD, but my therapist is like, no, it's just very likely that you have just really high, either one, high coping skills, or two, you're just very like low presenting ADHD, or both. It's like could be both. So that's where I'm at, is if I do have autism, I'm so like low presenting that it wouldn't really show up like too much on tests, or my coping skills are good enough that I don't feel like it's influential in that way. And I'd have to like probably take a test on like a really bad day and be like, okay, let me try and take this kind of a test honestly in this way and see how that goes. Oh, you know what I did? That's supposed to go in the front. I'm glad I caught that. That would have been so dumb. I would have been really upsetty spaghetti. That would have been dumb. Okay. There we go. Mostly I'm just upset that they trapped me in a room for 5 hours with no snacks, and then they were like, okay, do this dumb test. And I was like, why? And then they were like, you have a lot of anxiety, go home. And I was like, yeah, no shit. I could have told you that, my friend. It was a long-ass time. And then you had to get up and do it at like 7 in the fucking morning. Like, it was really bad. It was fucking awful. Would not recommend that to anybody. I don't know how the diagnostics process works, like, in other countries, but, like, honestly, I feel like whatever the US is doing is, like, low-key dumb. And if I remember correctly, I had to pay a lot of money to do that as well. And then in the doctor's office, they can only diagnose you with something if you need medication. So, in other words, I can't get properly diagnosed for ADHD unless they want to put me on, like, Adderall or another non-stimulant. But I don't need medication because my, like, symptoms are controlled enough where it's not really that big of a problem. So, in other words, I'm just kind of dicked. I just have to just kind of sit and just be like, yep. And then it's difficult for people to take you seriously when you're like, I have undiagnosed ADHD. And they're like, oh, so you're just like dumb and you can't follow through with tasks. It's like, no, no, no. You misheard me. I definitely have it. I'm just being physically prevented from diagnosing it. Like, that's the problem. Everything is dumb here, and I couldn't get a diagnosis if I wanted to. Oh my god, y'all, it's time to feed the Snorlax. I'm feeding the Snorlax. I'm doing it. It was so long, and they made me do so much math. And then they effectively, the official results were like, okay, so you suck at math. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. Because I have, like, effectively dyscalculia. Like, no shit. I'm so bad at math. Yeah, like, legit. Because I can do math well if I'm allowed to write it down or if I'm allowed to do it with a calculator. But if you try and force me to do it in my head, the numbers become literal blurs. And that ain't gonna happen. I have to have some kind of tactile way of counting or making sure that I can keep track of my numbers, because otherwise they're going directly to hell. And they're not coming back. They ain't coming back. Ooh, I discovered a new recipe in Pokemon Sleep. Grilled tail curry. Yeah, same, Cal. No joke. Like, literally, it was just torture for me. Like, and when I was in elementary school and they'd make you do those, like, at least here in the US, we had, like, timed times tables and stuff, and they'd force you to, like, do math really fast. And you had to complete a certain number of addition and subtraction problems in a specific period of time. It was like that is the most stressful shit of all time for me. Like, I just nuh-uh. Oh, man, it was the worst. And the problem is, too, is that I want to be good at math. Like, I want to learn it, but then I've never had a teacher who even ever gave a shit, like, to actually teach my ass. I might... We're going to play with some facial anatomy a little bit more, too. I might even pull this up. Yeah, same with chemistry, too. Like, I want to be good at chemistry, but, like, no joke, the last chemistry teacher that I had, when you'd get shit wrong, he'd, like, laugh at you. He was just an asshole. Hello? Photoshop, are you crashing, or what is happening here? Thanks. So I'm like, I don't know how you're supposed to, like, learn. If somebody legit will just bully you while you're trying to learn. It's like... I was forced to be a second teacher because the kids around me would try to get me to tell them the answer before the teacher could finish explaining. Oh my god, that's so annoying. You're like, leave me alone. Yeah, it was frustrating because I was like smart enough to be able to get up into upper level maths. So it's not like I ever really failed math classes. So I was smart enough to understand conceptually what was going on and effectively like fly by the seat of my pants, but was never thoroughly taught enough to fully understand what was going on. So I constantly felt like I was like walking through fog, effectively. It was like, okay, like you have this rough idea of a concept, but when you get shit wrong, we're never going to fully explain to you why because everything is moving so fast. And now, surprise, you're on to the next topic. And Godspeed, because this one is built off of the concept that we just learned in the last topic. So if you don't understand the last set of formulas or their applications, then sorry, buddy, you're not going to understand this. And then effectively I was trying to like play catch up the entire time, and it was just like, it was just awful. It was just, yeah, really shitty. Everybody was effectively dying in my math classes. It was like, it was not great. Yeah, this has to go here. I might get to flat colors today on this, but I don't think so. Actually, honestly, good call writing your work down. Truly. I'm pretty sure Photoshop is having a fucking heart attack. Not that small. There we go. I love that a lot more. That's better. All right. Yeah, what's stupid too is that, like, obviously I went into arts fields, and so I didn't even need that math anyway. Like, I didn't need to know fucking calculus. Like, I've never used calculus. I've just, it's so annoying. It's like, cool, so I have these things. And I need to be knowledgeable enough to be able to, like, get through certain shit. Like, I recognize I have done myself a massive disservice by writing a novel about a fucking chemist with a PhD in chemistry. So now I have to be able to do effective enough research as an author to be able to do that. And so as long as I have good research skills, I'll be good to go. But, like, goddamn. That's all I gotta say is just goddamn. Okay. Yeah, I wanted really bad to be good at science and good at math, and then I feel like, yeah, I don't know, I probably just had really shit teachers. Which is unfortunate. Yes? How well do I know DC? Like, DC Comics? Because if so, like, relatively well. I'm more of a Batman fan than anything else, so if you ask me anything else outside the Batman universe, I'm probably not going to have good answers for you. But I'm, like, on a base level familiar with the history of DC Comics overall. Batman and Harley Quinn are going to be my two areas of expertise, but any other heroes, probably not. I don't think that the Joker has one madness. I'm going to throw that out there first and foremost. I think that the Joker is a narcissistic Machiavellian sociopath. So if I were to diagnose him with anything from like a psychiatry standpoint, he's not, quote, insane. He is a sociopath, and those two things are different. He's very intentional and deliberate about the harm that he causes, especially in more modern contexts. And that being said, there is not really a, quote, cure for dark triad disorders. You can take medication to help alleviate symptoms and things like that, and obviously, not to say that all people with sociopathy or things like borderline personality disorder are inherently evil people, because they are definitely not, and there are plenty of people with BPD or other disorders like alexithymia that are similar, that they're obviously functioning members of society, and they're actually very awesome people. But in the case of the Joker, I personally do not believe that there is any cure, and putting that level of responsibility onto a single person is not only, I don't think, impossible, but also, too, definitely unfair to that individual as well. Because I think that situation would ultimately end... I think that would ultimately end that woman's life. I don't think that there are any situations where that is possible. And if there is a, like you're saying, I haven't watched the Harley Quinn show, so I can't weigh in on this. In my mind, dude would need to go to therapy first of all, and actually have like a reason to do that. But my concern with him as a character in particular would mostly be that he was faking. And I think that he can be very, very good at pretending to be normal, and very, very good at pretending to have that. And so, like, if the Harley Quinn show is going to continue, like, I don't know where they are in their run, but it would not surprise me if he eventually ended up rebounding and going back to more toxic behaviors. Because I don't believe that he's doing it, or I don't disbelieve that he's doing it. I 100% believe that he's doing it. But I don't think that in his particular case it is physically possible to, quote, fix that situation. And eventually somebody is going to get burned. And most likely it's going to be the kid and the mom in that situation. Because ultimately, with his particular case, and like, again, if we're looking at it from like okay, he has severe sociopathic tendencies, ultimately he suffers from almost what I would describe as like a main character syndrome. And eventually he will want to go back to what is comfortable unless he has an incredibly stable environment. And again, from like a psychology standpoint, if we're talking about like real world psychological applications and good character writing, because this topic has been touched on in the Harley Quinn comics before as well. And I personally believe that in New 52 Harley Quinn, it's probably one of the best written iterations of the Joker, because he's got a lot of nuance to him, and it provides a very interesting look into what he's got going on from that kind of a standpoint, and the ultimate lesson learned there, because that whole comic is about Harley effectively breaking free from toxicity. I think without the context of the show, I don't think I would be able to make a proper assessment, because that seems to be, your question seems to be more so on like, does it work for that specific context of that show? And because I have not seen the show, I can't really answer that question very thoroughly. And I can only answer with like, I think, one, what I know from like psychology and what I think is the best written version of that character as a narrative designer and as a visual development artist. I don't have time to watch the clip during stream. I typically don't tend to watch things on stream, mostly because I'm streaming to YouTube, and that'll flag it for copyright. But yeah, no, I think that having read a shitload of Joker content in my day, like a lot of it, I think the whole point of him as a character is mostly to use him as a tool to test other characters. And so for a character like Batman, for example, it's the question of like, how far can you push a person before they abandon their values in order to seemingly do what is right? Or in the case of Harley, it's like, okay, how do we look at cases of domestic abuse and how it impacts people? And furthermore, in a more positive light, how can women escape domestic abuse? So, looking at it in that way, in the context of the Harley Quinn show, it wouldn't really surprise me if they ended up going in that direction later, where he ended up proving that he's a piece of shit. He's still just a piece of shit because that's what he defaults to, because that's where his brain is at. It's you know, but again, it depends on where they want to go with that character. I think that in instances in which they, quote, cure the Joker, oftentimes those plot lines tend to be very ineffective, and not only ineffective, but also kind of misses the point of the character itself, like what he's supposed to be doing for the show or for the other characters within it, if that makes sense. But I would have to watch it in order to gain better context. Yeah, I loved how he was written in Harley Quinn New 52. And what I liked the most about that particular comic as well is that it didn't really focus on Harley and Joker's relationship, because it was more about her recovering from the trauma that he had caused and less about him. Like, to be honest, it didn't fucking matter. Like, it was brilliant because he kind of became inconsequential. It was like, okay, that's nice. And then, like, she just fucking ignored his ass, which I thought was really funny. But he's drawn very beautifully in that comic. He's very, very pretty. I can't find any images from the particular issue that I'm thinking of. He has a really dramatic face, but he's not depicted like he's a creep. He's definitely a huge creep. And also, having Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy in a lesbian power relationship is the fucking best, actually. It's fucking great. I wish that I could find those images, but they did a wonderful, wonderful job. Okay. Do I want to crop this? No. That'd be gross. I could maybe crop it a little bit, but... yeah. That's better. Yeah, because my question to the show writers would be like, why, if that makes sense. Where can I... oh, there. Duh. Yeah, because ultimately that's the question. Is what is the ultimate goal of the writers when they're looking at, like... when you're looking at a character like the Joker that has such a long-standing history, the question becomes, what is the purpose of what you're doing with the character? And furthermore, when you have like a show that's clearly like it's about Harley Quinn, it's the Harley Quinn show. What is that doing for her character? How is it furthering her character overall? And that would be I'd be curious about that. Bye, Fishy. Have fun watching Star Trek. I hope you'll enjoy it and have a great time. Thanks for hanging around. It was awesome seeing you today. Actually, yeah, they interestingly enough, they covered a really similar question, not with the Joker, but with the Riddler, actually, in a comic that I have. I don't remember what the issue is called. What was it? Joker's Asylum. That's what it's called. That particular issue, Joker's Asylum, Riddler, #1. This one, I thought was a very interesting handle on this particular topic, but it follows the Riddler as he is presented with the potential of a romantic relationship, and he does literally everything deliberately that he can to normalize himself and try and get out of being effectively a criminal and being emotionally and psychologically messed up. He goes to therapy. He has like all of these things that he's doing to try and improve his overall I guess just like psyche in order to be able to get into a relationship with this woman. But as the comic progresses, you as the reader definitely realize that like he's not doing any of these things because he wants to get better. He sees this woman as a means to an end. And by the end of the comic, as soon as he gets with the woman, like we're talking like they get married, like they make it all the way to the end. and then he shoots her in the head. And the reason that he does this is because it's like, to her, or to him, she was just like a big old Rubik's Cube. It was a puzzle for him to solve, because that's his whole thing, is like solving riddles, right? He wanted to understand what it took to get someone to fall in love with him. How do you get someone to love you? What is the ultimate riddle? And it's human emotion is the ultimate riddle. But when he solved the problem, I guess, got through that entire puzzle, there was a massive amount of dissatisfaction for him at the end of it, and it ended up in him, just deciding to move on and go back to doing whatever it was he was doing before, which I think is a really interesting commentary on that whole cycle. So, if they do choose to stick with it in that show's context, I find it probably from like a writing standpoint kind of weak, unfortunately. So hopefully they don't, because I think it would be better if they had something more complex going on. But hard to say. Because I'd be more interested in exploring the human psyche in that way and understanding what makes somebody tick than effectively just having like a quick solution to that kind of a problem. Man, Photoshop is really having a hard time here. Hello. Bruh, please. Thank you. And I think it'd be really fun for the Joker maybe to get there. That would be really cool. But I would need them to really think about how they got to that point. And oh, I don't like this shade of pink on her. Hold on, I need to go more red. There we go, better. Okay, let me see. Oh, it's just gold eyes. This is all we're working with here. Okay, not that crazy. Okay, so it looks like I'm probably only going to get through laying down flats in this before I get into painting, and so then Monday will be a painting day. I have to design a website today. I don't know how I got myself into this situation. Alright, so now I have to make a decision to figure out, you know what, there's certain things, you ever just see something There we go. I know this is going to cause me a bunch of issues here. Yeah, that's fine. This guy is cool, but I'm nervous about him liking the overall product. But I've never done web design before either. Like, I know how to make a good website, but I'm not a web designer by nature. So I'm like, okay, guess I'm gonna do this. Oh, I don't like how dark that is, though, actually. Tetris? Okay, so this is slowly coming together. Tetris? Huh? I'm so confused. I'm trying to figure out if I'm gonna hate this. Actually. I'm gonna need this to keep doing this. Well, this is fine, but I'm gonna need to include line art to actually be able to see what's going on, and that's okay. You know what? I'm trying to figure out... if this is just super ugly looking, or... I think this actually might stylize it a little bit better. I just have to make sure this is in the right place. Oh, she's starting to look a little fish-eyed. Hold on. I gotta be very careful with this, otherwise this is gonna be really dumb. I don't want this to go too far out. I need to be able to scale this up without it being problematic. Yeah, that's better. I like this song is silly to me because I think that the artist has forgotten and does not understand who Bonnie and Clyde were. And I'm sure that they didn't write this song. Yuchi. She's Chinese. Oh, interesting. I'm pretty sure. So I know that she doesn't know who Bonnie and Clyde are, but I don't know how to tell her. She's like, we don't need money. We could be Bonnie and Clyde. I'm like, I don't know how to tell you that Bonnie and Clyde were motivated entirely by money. that was literally their whole fucking thing. I'm so sorry to be this guy, to break this news to you. Alright, so let me figure out what my lighting situation is going to look like here. So first and foremost, we're going to have... Yeah, literally that was their whole bag. Their whole thing was being stupid wealthy. They wanted to rob the entire world. Okay, so we got a little bit of like yellow gold. It's like being Tarzan without the gorillas. They're an essential part of this component here. Essential factor here. That is funny, though. Yeah, all I'm learning still is that I'm still just not a fan of K-pop. Or just pop in general. I'm trying. I'm doing my best, but... And it's not that it's bad, it's just not my jam. Okay, so now I need to get this whole lighting scenario in here, because I really would like to be able to cut it down her face in this way. Doing these kinds of split lighting scenarios is really difficult. Because it's like she's looking in a... There's like a door that's opening here, and a slat that is opening here. So actually, in this particular lighting scenario, I'm going to cut this because... of the hand here. Damn it. Like this. Shadow. I'm actually going to turn this off. So then that goes like this. And then interestingly enough, goes like this. But what I like what they do is that this is just overall less bright, but this is how this is going to go. Like this. So that is going to be where that hits reasonably. This is just a rough, and then I'll go in and overlay is so pretty. So now I'm going to go in and very gently, I'm going to clean up the edges first, sharp, and then soft. And then I'll go in and be able to refine this later as well. But being able to go in and at the very least give this a better shape is going to be helpful. Yeah. Yep. There we go. Ironically, I actually don't like that shape. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and just soften this now. This will be just like at least some progress before I come back to this next time. And I'll have a memory of what my direction was. But honestly, having good reference photos is like huge. There's like something going on with this side. And I think it's that. Okay, so now I need a new layer. Actually, I gotta be careful where I put this. Because it should go on the edge. And there's certain things that need to get erased now. These damn, this kid is just like so. There we go. I want it to be a little soft, not like super soft in all areas, but a little soft. And there we go. And then I also have to take into account now the planes of the face and the body as well, because certain things are going to have less geometry or less brightness because of how the geometry goes. And like I can always have this be lighter on the bottom, or like less bright, I should say, on the bottom. But in this particular instance, because the wrist is tilting in, I'm gonna actually bring this up. I just have to be really careful and then clean up the edges when I need to. Not quite. I think I'm erasing too much. Hold on, I gotta be really careful. I actually should probably leave it just like that. This can be a little bit darker, but I needed it to be more uniform. And then this is gonna be slightly lighter. Lord. And then I'm going to need... Sorry, y'all. Oh, I got a dust in my throat. That's the end. I'm going to need this to also gently follow the flow of the face, and that'll be better when there's actual shading on the face too. But as of right now, I just got to be able to... Oh, actually, I'm not a huge fan of that. Because I want to still hit her eye. And there will be shadow in there a little bit. Except actually I don't think I like that too much. So I'll worry about that when it comes. This should actually have a harder shadow because it's being blocked by stuff. Lighting! Okay, and then I'll be able to go in and like actually work on this lighting scenario here. When I get a chance next time. But then also to oh, and I don't like that at all. It needs to be on the shadow. And like I might be able to like erase out some of this. She's gonna make her look heckin' white in the middle of all of this. Instead of this nice gold. So I don't know, I might leave that alone. Because I actually not a fan of any of that. Okay, so we're gonna add in a bunch of particle effects and like all sorts of shit. But I need to do a lot of rendering. Because at the very minimum, the light is lighting. But I have to go because now it's time for me to go and fucking teach kids how to draw. Which, yay? Hooray? I don't know. So that was good progress at least. I like the stylization of it. It's fun. So I'll get working on more of this later on Monday, or maybe if I have time later, I don't know. But also I was looking at potentially buying Date Everything today and playing some of that tonight. So maybe I'll be back later with some games. Anything can happen. So yeah, I appreciate all y'all. Thanks so much to the Genu Sasha for following me on Twitch. That was very, very nice. And for everybody who's subbed to me on YouTube and on TikTok as well, followed on TikTok, because I broke 700 followers on TikTok in like effectively like 1 week, which was insane. And then over on YouTube, I've been just slowly climbing. So I definitely deeply appreciate all of the support over there. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I will maybe be back later with some games. Otherwise, I hope everybody has a great rest of your day, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.